Lamelo Ball is currently 3rd in the NBA in scoring right now. So I think it's safe to say he's playing like one of the best in the league right now, but that's because he is one of the best in the league. This man Lamelo Ball, slowly behind the scenes, has been getting better and better and now is showing who he truly is. He's the best point guard in all of basketball right now. And I think this is a conversation that people do not want to have. See, the reason why a lot of people talk about Lamelo Ball in a bad way is because he plays on the Hornets. In fact, I've seen so many people say he's an empty stats player and he does not lead to winning. Well, to be fair to Lamelo, look at this roster and tell me a good player can win with this team. Now, one of the reasons why their team looks so bad right now is because they've been riddled with injuries the entire year. Grant Williams just tore his ACL, he's out for the year. Miles Bridges has a knee injury. Trey Mann, their most important bench piece, he's out for a while. Nick Richards and Mark Williams, their big men, a position they desperately are lacking in right now. Yeah, they're also going to be out for a while. So no, Lamelo Ball is not the reason this team has been losing as much as they have. In the past 3 games, the Hornets have a record of 1-2. In those games, they played the Pistons, the Bucks, and the Magic. And also in those 3 games, Lamelo Ball averaged 43 points per game. But apparently this guy is not a difference maker and he's overrated and a shot chucker. You know what sucks about Lamelo Ball is if he was not on the Hornets and he was on a contending team, I genuinely believe this man would be leading the MVP race. But because he's on the Hornets and it's not exactly the best team to play for right now, he's obviously not going to get that nod. But if you literally took record away from MVP, I'd be giving it to Lamelo right now because it is very obvious that Lamelo is the most important player on the Hornets and it's not even a question. And I don't mean to disrespect a guy like Brandon Miller, who's been great this year, averaging about 19 points per game, not having the worst sophomore season, but you cannot tell me that Lamelo Ball is not impacting this game. You are not going to tell me that Lamelo is not the reason this team is going to win more games than they did last year. I know 6-11 is not a good record. Even in the shitty Eastern Conference, it's not a good record, but yet they're still on pace to win more games than they did last year. And you may be asking yourself, why did the Hornets only win 21 games last year? Sure, this team is bad, but I don't think their 21 wins bad. Well, last year, Lamelo was having a great season, and then he kept dealing with an ankle injury that caused him to miss over 60 games. But even then, what he's doing this year is a whole lot better than what he did last year. Like I mentioned earlier, he's averaging right now 31 points per game. Yes, the points per game did change while recording this video, but he's also top 15 in assists, and he's getting about 5 rebounds on top of that. Not to mention his defense has actually gotten better. He's being a lot more aggressive, which the downside of that is he's picking up a lot of fouls. And when you look at this team, if Brandon Miller and Lamelo Ball are not on the court, then the other team is destined to go on a run. According to Hornets Hoops on Twitter, over the last 3 games, Lamelo and Brandon Miller combined for 219 points out of the total 326 scored by the Hornets. That is 2/3 of all of the Hornets points being scored by 2 guys alone. I cannot stress enough, this is not going to lead to winning basketball, but you guys already know that. You're not surprised by that. And it is all these things I'm telling you in this video. You might think that my opinion is to trade Lamelo. See, a lot of these YouTubers are going to tell you the exact same thing. Oh, let's trade Lamelo to a contender. He's going to start winning just like that and he's going to play valuable minutes. And yes, I do agree that if he went to a contender, he would instantly have an impact. But the thing is, I'm not giving up on him in Charlotte. They do have guys that are great basketball players. Of course, I talked about Brandon Miller. I talked about Trey Mann earlier, but he is a very important player on the bench. Miles Bridges, I know he's controversial, but you have to admit he's a great player for this team. I know it is very early into his coaching career, but Charles Lee doesn't seem like the worst coach in the world. The fact of the matter is, I think Charlotte is only a couple moves away from being a playoff team, a consistent one at that. Of course, we understand big men is their issue. We've been saying this for years now. Now, I'm not going to tell you that they need to trade for some all-star or for some top 10 player in the league. I am not joking when I say a guy like Jonas Valanciunas would be perfect for Charlotte. It's a guy who is a veteran who can actually have an impact immediately. He's not going to try to take up all the scoring, but he's going to be a great rebounder and a great defender. You know, there's also this guy in Phoenix named Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, he's a great rebounder, great shooter. I'm just coping. I just want him off my basketball team. Somebody I actually like is Robert Williams. He doesn't have that big of a contract, so Charlotte could definitely afford him. He's a guy that averages about 10 and 6 while having a field goal percentage percentage of 76. I think the most realistic trade would be Robert Williams for Cody Martin and Misich. Misich is not that great of a point guard if I'm being real, and Cody Martin's not terrible, but I feel like he's easily replaceable. But also Charlotte has a lot of great guards, so I don't think they're really going to miss these two as bad as people might assume. Again, there are so many trades that Charlotte could make, and I'm interested to see if they do something when the deadline comes. But there is something that I am wondering about Lamelo Ball, something that I think we're going to find out during this season. Real quick, if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure y'all leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to hit 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and at the time recording this, we're about 770 something away. If you guys enjoy raw, unfiltered NBA content, I think you're gonna like what we upload over here. We upload about 2 to 3 times per week. This week we're trying to upload about 4, just for making up on the lack of uploads. We talk about a variety of topics, so I do think this is a channel that you're going to enjoy if you're an NBA fan. And if you guys end up subscribing and you don't like the content, you can unsubscribe at any time. It's totally free to try it out. But if you guys do end up enjoying it, then I really do appreciate you. But look, I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time, so let's just hop right back into the video. I know earlier we kind of talked about him being in the MVP conversation, and to start off the video, I said he was the best point guard in the NBA, which is something I am standing by. But my question is, why do people continue to blame him for Charlotte being a bad team? Well, this is where the whole conversation part of the video comes in. Well, the fact of the matter is, he takes a lot of shots. In fact, he currently leads the league right now in 3-pointers taken per game, which is almost 13 threes per game. So objectively speaking, he is somebody that takes a lot of shots. But like I've talked about in this video, he kind of has to. The team isn't really that good. We've already established this. But when you have a box score where Lamelo Ball and Brandon Miller are the only 2 players to be in double figures, that is disgusting. It sucks. This is the one thing that people use to discredit Lamelo. Like, I'm sorry, but have you guys seen what this man has been able to do? Like, look at these shots. These are not normal shots. He's a 6'7" point guard that can shoot the lights out. He is one of the best playmakers I've seen in basketball. He's tall enough to get rebounds, and he's aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. Guys, I think Lamelo Ball is reaching a new level, a level where he could soon be a top 10 player in the NBA, as if he's not already on that level. I do legitimately think at some point during the season, he will be recognized as an MVP candidate. I think he'll be on the ladder. I think the analysts will talk about him, but in the end, due to Charlotte, he is not going to win it, and I'm completely understanding of that. But when you finally become an MVP candidate and a serious contender for it, usually as a player you tend to level up, and the people start to realize you're a lot better than you were before. As if it's already not his best year, I think this is easily going to go down as Lamelo's best year so far. Not only statistically, but there's a possibility that Charlotte could make a small playoff push down the line. Let's not forget, they're only half a game away from the play-in spot, and they're only about a game away from being the 8 seed. I know it's a stretch, but if Charlotte can get hot and they can make some trades, there's a possibility they make the playoffs. And if Lamelo is able to lead this team to the playoffs, you cannot tell me that Lamelo will not be up for MVP. You cannot tell me that this flashy scorer, this person who can make flashy passes, someone that everyone has to love, you cannot tell me that he is not going to be up for MVP when the season ends. We need to have a conversation about Lamelo Ball. Yeah, the conversation is that he's becoming one of the best. The conversation is we need to start talking about him more. He's not an empty stats player that plays for a shit team. He's a great player that plays for a team with a lot of potential. But guys, we're not even 20 games into the year so far. So many things can happen. And honestly, if you were to tell me that Charlotte ends up making a playoff push, I wouldn't exactly be surprised.